people out just buzzing around having fun. Ain't got time to do all that GPS shit. I
Right.
know where I'm at.
Like the parachute guys out of the flying lawnmowers. Remember those in Quartzsite?
That's crazy.
All the flying lawnmowers that were zipping around.
Yeah. Todd, years ago, is that camera on?
Yeah.
Oh, this sucks, because I'm going to tell you a good story.
Cool.
Years ago, when I got into the drugs and trying to make millions, cocaine was very profitable at the time. I mean, 30, 45 grand a kilo in Miami, and for anything good. So I said, I'm gonna I'm gonna venture out, and I'm gonna go to Peru and see if I can find a connection all by myself. So let me backtrack a minute. Years before this, I had a girlfriend that was a travel agent. And me and two friends were sitting in my house. We were all loaded with cash. And she comes in, she goes, "You guys got to buy the last 3 tickets for a trip to Peru." And we said, "Why are we going to do that?" "Because if you do, I get a brand new Corvette and $10,000 in cash. That's why you're going to buy these tickets for me." I said, "Well, how much are they?" And they were like $1,000 a piece. And it was a week trip to Peru.
Wow.
I said, "Okay." So everybody coughed up the money, and we just laughed, and we helped the girl out. And we weren't planning to go on the trip. None of us were. We were just helping her out. New Corvette and 10 grand. Goddamn, here you go. Here's a grand. I'll help you get up. I mean, it wasn't like I was plotting a trip to Peru or anything.
Right.
All of a sudden, a few weeks later, she calls up. She goes, "Hey, got all your passports gathered up?" She goes, "I got it from Maria when I came by the other day." I said, "My maid gave you my passport?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You're all stamped, ready to go to Peru on the trip." I said, "We weren't planning to go to Peru, really, honest to God, Betty Ann." She goes, "Oh, please, it'll be so much fun. You guys need a break. Get up out of Florida." I called my friends up. I said, "What do you think?" They said, "Well, you got nothing to do." I said, "Let's go then, fuck it." So we got on the plane and flew down to Lima, Peru. And we got to Lima, and we got off the plane, and there was a little guy that looked like Danny DeVito that had the tour sign hanging on it. And when over there was these people from like Iowa and Minnesota. They were standing there with their Tom Selleck shirts and their big cameras. And I'm looking at this crew going, oh, God damn. It was just all a bunch of old folks, right? So now we get out in this bus that looked like the Partridge Family bus. And I'm going, holy fuck, what kind of shit are we in here, right? So then they drive us to this motel cabin things, and they assigned us a cabin, and I went over to the cabin, and we walked in the door, and it was nothing but 2 little beds and a couch, and I mean, it was horrible accommodations. It was like real cheap-ass Peruvian motel kind of thing.
At least it wasn't a stick building.
Well, wait, I went to the sink to see if the water ran. When I did, there was a snake curled up in the sink, and I grabbed my bags. I said, y'all can do what you want, but I'm out of this journey right here. I'm going to town and get a real room, man. I said, this ain't happening. They said, we should try it out. I said, you try it out and let me know how it worked out. I said,
let me know what you do with that snake and the kid.
Right. So I waited around out front, and the fucking cabbie guy shows up, and we all got in it. We went downtown and got a motel room there at the Lima Marriott, which was really nice. So we had a nice room, and they said, well, what are you going to do now, Mr. Wizard? I said, I don't know. We'll find something to do. We'll look at Peru our damn selves. We don't need Danny DeVito and the Partridge Family to show us. They said, well, sure. So now we're sitting there, and I happened to catch a bellboy, and he had some pot. I got a little bit of pot. So we're stoned on the balcony looking over the city of Lima going, well, it's busy, because it was. So now, all of a sudden, we're sitting there, and I'm looking through the phone book, and usually in foreign countries in the back of the phone book, there's a little section that's American. We were going to go the next day. So after dinner, I went out and walked the streets of Lima a little bit, and this American kid comes up to me and goes, hey, dude, you want to buy some best Coke you've ever done for $3 a gram? I said, $3 a gram for the best Coke I've ever done? Sure, I'm in for Flynn. I said, here, sell me a little bit of that. And I think I bought like $100 worth from him. So it was a good little sack, and I walked upstairs and threw it on the table. Everybody was just moping around the motel room. I said, look what I found. And everybody goes, cool, dude. So we commenced to get stoned, and we were up all night. So the next day we got in the cab and went to the Army surplus store in Lima, and walked in the door, and it was a big warehouse, and stuff was stacked 20 feet high. Just a little walkway through it. I mean, it was like stacked to the ceiling, bro. You couldn't I mean, it was like just so full. It was overwhelming. So we
Oh,
walked.
Lima Army surplus?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. So we went in there, and the old guy, big old fat guy at the end, spoke really good English, thank God. And he goes, "Well, how'd you end up here?" And we told him the story. And I said, "We're thinking of maybe just going on a hike up into the mountains a little bit, like they were going to do in the bus tour." And we thought we'd kind of do it alone. He goes, "Well, I got the maps, the charts." He goes, "I got everything you need." He goes, I've got tents, I've got everything." He goes, "How are you going to transport this stuff?" He goes, "I have a cousin that would sell you some donkeys." I said, "Well, we're going to be gone a week. That sounds better than toting it on my back." I said, "How much you think you'd sell them for?" And he called the guy, and it was a good deal. And so we bought donkey pack saddles and gear to put on the donkey packs, and even a gun. And I mean, the guy was really cool. I mean, he sold us everything you could imagine that you'd ever need for camping, pots and pans and just everything. I mean, the donkeys were loaded, 3 of them the next day. And the guy that came and sold the donkeys had a truck to transport the donkeys in, and said he'd give us a ride to where we could go towards the mountains and go do whatever it is we wanted to do. We said, "Okay, fine, cool." So we're hyped up. We're snorting really good Peruvian flake cocaine, and we're pretty buzzed, but everything's going well. We got our food stuffs from the guy at the surplus, so we got food to take, and fuck, we're doing good. We're in the truck now, riding up, and all of a sudden this 4-lane busy highway turns into a 2-lane, and then in about 10 miles it turns into a fucking dirt road, and then about 20 miles down the road it's like a donkey path, and by the time we got to the end it looked just like this out here. And I'm going, "The road to nowhere." And the guy goes, he goes, "That's how it is down here. The roads don't go anywhere." So he goes, I said, "Wow." So he goes, "Just remember," he goes, "stay on this path on your chart. You take a right at the next fork, and it'll take you into the most beautiful mountains you've ever seen." And we said, "Cool." So we're cool. We got out of the truck. He drives away. And donkeys are looking at us. We're looking at the donkeys. We're packed down with everything. So off we went walking. And pretty soon the trail narrows down real good, and we're still walking, And all of a sudden the donkey went like this and pulled back on the rope. I said, "What the fuck?" Yeah, and I'm standing over a log in the road, and the donkey refuses to cross the log. And I'm looking at it, and one of my friends goes, "Holy fuck, that's a snake, dude!" And it was a snake, yay fucking big around, going across the road. That's why the donkey wouldn't step across it. Yeah, I'm going, "Holy fuck!" And we laughed and said, "Yeah, we bought, tree hanging sleeping gear, right? Like that's gonna stop that motherfucker." Goes, "We'll be nothing but a cocoon all wrapped up for him." I said, "Yeah, boy, that's not cool, boy. I didn't realize they had snakes down here quite that big, bro." He goes, "Okay, Buono, what next?" I said, "Well, we're gonna keep going till we find a clearing, and we'll bivouac for the night, and we'll get up and go in the morning." So everything's fine. Next day, we're kind of on a nice donkey path, and it's going in the direction towards the mountains. You can see the mountains, so it's like everything's kind of cool. We're in the foothills now, and this was the second day. We had breakfast, and we're walking along, and everybody's bitching that they're hungry. I'm going, "Well, fuck!" And then all of a sudden, we heard horses coming, like a lot of them, and I'm going, "The fuck?" So I'm pulling the donkey off to the side, and here comes the Peruvian army on horseback. And this colonel, whatever he was, he goes, papers, papels, por favor." He goes, "Rapido, rapido." I said, "What the fuck?" So we gave him our paperwork, and he just threw them back on the ground. And he goes, "You gringos are very stupid." He goes, "To be out here on this path today." And I said, "Why would that be, sir?" He goes, "Today is the day that they pay the gold mines around here." He goes, "So the gold money comes from town on donkeys to the gold mines, and all the banditos just come and kill you and take your money." I said, "Well, that's not very good." And he goes, "Have a good day, sir." And he past the horses went. Well, the first little path to the right I could see that didn't even look like a path. I said, "Come on, guys, we're getting up off this goddamn trail." This path was tough, bro, but it was going somewhere. So I had to chop a little bit once in a while to get there, but it was a path. You could tell it was a regular trail. People had been down it. I don't know about donkeys, but you could tell it was a beaten path. And it wasn't an animal trail. It was too direct, and, it didn't go under anything. It was direct. So we're going down this path, and they're going, "We're fucked now. We're going to die at the hands of some goddamn idiots." I said, "Well, I said, maybe so. Maybe we should have checked this out before. I said, let's stop and do a line. So we snorting up the cocaine, off we went some more. And pretty soon this path started to edge out a little bit, and it got a little bigger and stuff. And I'm going, well, looks like we're coming into something. Well, we did. We came to a river that was real shallow, probably from here to the tree way over there by the fence. Okay, about that wide the river was, but it was real shallow. You could
100
see.
yards.
Not even. No, probably 40 yards.
Oh, okay.
If that. And it was over on the other side was like a beach where people had been, and you could see all the foot tracks and where people had come down from that side to the river. I said, well, see, all we got to do is cross this fucking river and we'll be around some people. And they said, yeah, dude, good job, Buona. I said, yeah, all right. I said, come on, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Across the water we went. And the road kind of went up over a little hill and kind of dissipated down. So I said, come on, let's go. So we're walking two abreast now because it was a pretty wide trail. And we crest the hill, and here's like 150 Indians in chukka spears and cloths and standing there looking at us like all fucked up. And my friend goes, what now, Buona? I said, first thing, don't reach any weapons. I said, let's just be peaceful about this and see how it goes. He goes, they got headhunters here, bro? I said, I don't think of Peru. I said, nah, that's up in the Amazon somewhere. He goes, are you sure? I said, no, I ain't sure shit. I said, come on, let's go. It's too late to turn around. So I walked up, and Mr. Brilliant's here, looked at the group that was in front. One looked like a leader, but you couldn't really tell. And what do? I went, how? Me, Rick. My two friends looked at me like, have you lost your fucking mind? And all of a sudden in the background, it was, Philippe, we got some Americans. And I'm looking, and this one Indian come running out of the crowd, and he comes running over. He goes, hi, my name's Jonah. I said, Jonah, you speak perfect English. He goes, that's right, 4 years in college at MIT. I said, what?
Wow.
He goes, that's right, I went on a grant. He goes, so I said, interesting. He goes, well, we don't see many gringos out here, and here come another boy that spoke perfect English too, and he'd worked downtown in the tourist trade, so he worked with the gringos and stuff. So we had two interpreters from hell, right? So they said we were invited to bivouac with them if we wanted to take the risk. And I said, what's the risk? He goes, the Peruvian government are killing us as fast as they can find us and shoving us further back into the mountains, away from villages and settlements. They don't like us much. And I said, wow. And he goes, yeah, similar to what Americans did to their Indians. He goes, that's what's happening now to us. He goes, and I could have stayed in America and had a $300,000 a year job. He goes, but this is my family. He goes, that's why I'm back here trying to help. I said, wow, that's really cool, Jonah. So Jonah was really cool. The first night in, they gave us a little hut that was already built. And come to find out, the Quitus Indian tribes elders did cocaine because they reached their spiritual world at that point. And only the elders were allowed to do the coke. So Jonah saw me snorting some coke, and he goes, wow, you guys do that, huh? He goes, yeah. He goes, come see this. And he showed me this blue, like in your bandana blue, like dark blue coke that they made. I said, wow, dude. He goes, yeah, that's the special shit. He goes, I can't give you any right now, but he goes, when you leave, I'll make sure you get a little bit. I said, well, that's really cool, Jonah, thanks. So we spent the night. Everything was peaceful. We ate. We shared what we had on our mules with them because they had very little. It wasn't like they had much at all. They were roving, so they didn't have much comfort. But they'd been there for 3 months, camped out there at that one spot, so they'd made it home.
Right.
So, we got to sleep in a little hut, and then next day we got out and we got to witness the elders. They went into like an adobe grass hut that they built, and they went in and steamed the cocaine into them. And Jonah says, watch this. He goes, give them about 15 minutes here. He goes, you'll see something pretty amazing come out that door. I said, all right. Well, 20 minutes go by, and here comes the first one out the door, and he stands up. Aye! Through the woods he ran, screaming the whole way outside. I'm going, wow. He goes, he's searching for God. I said, phew. Pretty soon the other two came out, and they kind of rambled down the road. They didn't run, but they just were heading somewheres, and we're going to go find God. He goes, don't know much about it. He goes, I don't believe it. It's just an old thing. He goes, those motherfuckers are just getting high as shit on cocaine and then telling us what to do. I said, yeah, that's pretty much what's happening, isn't it? And he goes, yeah. He goes, so now, let's see, the second day in, I asked him, I said, is there anything we could do for you to help you and your folks? I said, where's the nearest town? And we walked about maybe a half a mile on the edge of the mountain, and we could see this. It was a beautiful city, like not very big, but it was nestled in the mountains, and it was all white with orange roofs. There wasn't any other color there. It was just white and orange clay. That's all it was. It was so beautiful, nestled into the jungle, you know. I go, what's that? And he goes, that's Equitas. I said, Equitas? He goes, that's right. He goes, and then, oh, I fucked up. It wasn't Equitas. It was called Tinga Maria, which is White City or something. So I said, wow, that's really cool. White girl, I forget what that meant. And he goes, yeah, it's pretty cool there. He goes, they got a few shops, and we could use a few things if you wouldn't mind going down. We got money. I said, okay. He goes, we trade cocaine for money once in a while. I said, okay. So I took some money. So you can find things if you really need to. It's just a little section. So down there it was the same way. And I looked in the back, and I saw a military surplus. I go, wow. I said, hey, dude, let's go check out this surplus place. And they said, for what? I said, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I said, let's go hiking or something. Let's go see what he's got.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go eat. We'll finish this later, kid. And took my empty donkeys into town, and you know, we went down there and I filled up the donkeys with pots and pans and saws, buck saws, sugars, salts, anything I could find that made sense for them roving. You know, I got them a little chainsaw even with gas and oil because they could use it real quick to build a little hut real fast. I figured, what the fuck? And you know, I just loaded up donkeys, took them back. They were so happy, bro. They were like, what the fuck? Nobody had ever done anything like that for them before. And here's 3 cokeheads from Miami down there just fucking helping them out, you know what I mean? So now the second night in after doing that, I guess that was like maybe the third night there. We were sitting around the fire, and they said, Chris, there's a girl here, and it's customs. You've got to do it. This girl wants to sleep with you, bro, and try to find your inner being. And Chris is going, yeah? Because there's some cute girls, you know. And Chris is going, yeah. And then Jonah says, yeah, and this girl is like the hierarchy's daughter, so, you know, if you don't do what she's asking, then you're disrespecting the fucking tribe, and then you're going to have to fight Kona over here. You know, he's one big guy, and I'm going, wow, wait. I said, Chris, sounds like a win-win for you. You know, you're going to go spend the night with a girl. He goes, well, I hate to just blow off customs like this, he says. Okay, Jonah, I'll do it. This 200-pound girl stepped up out of nowheres, man. Come over and grabbed little Jonah up by his shoulder and kind of hoisted him off the log we were sitting on and headed for a fucking hut. And I'm going, wow, that's not quite what I was expecting. You know? I didn't say it out loud, but, you know, I was expecting maybe just not that. As soon as the little hut door is shut, Jonah starts cracking up, and the other one that did English, they were cracking up. I said, what's so funny? He goes, we don't have any customs. He goes, that girl's been begging to get laid for a year, and nobody here will do it. He goes, I made that all up. I said, Jonah, give me some nothing. I said, God damn. So it was funny. The next morning, Chris came out, and he had hickeys on his nose and shit. I mean, that girl was crazy. So, yeah, Chris came out looking pretty rough. So it was pretty funny. So then I said, our visa was about to run out, so we had to get back, you know, in a day or two. So I figured, well, I asked him, I said, is there, you know, someplace I can get my visa stamped in Tinga Maria? And he goes, oh, see. He goes, yeah. I said, good. I said, Jonah, so I guess, how about this? I said, and they were getting ready to move. They were packing down. They were gearing up. I said, Jonah, why don't you keep my 3 donkeys? I said, I had to buy them. He wouldn't rent them to me because he figured he wouldn't see them back because we were 3 dumb gringos heading into the mountains around bandits and you guys. You know, so he was like, you know, he wanted me to buy them, not rent them. So I own the donkeys and everything on them. I said, how about if you just keep the donkeys and you go pack all this gear that I brought up here on the donkeys and move? He goes, bro, you're kidding. I said, no, man. He goes, listen, He goes, here's something for you. And he gave me a leaf with a big blue rock as big as your cup in it. He goes, this is for your efforts, he goes. And if you ever come back here, he goes, I will fill your plane with cocaine. I said, wow, that's pretty cool, Jonah, thanks. So we went to Tinga Maria, and Tinga Maria was exactly like it sounds. It was maybe 20 cars somehow got there, little donkeys, mules, lots of people walking, the quaint little village, red clay paved streets. I mean, it was just gorgeous. It was out of a story. I mean, right out of a picture perfect book story.
Wow.
We're going, wow. So we found the hotel. There weren't any bathrooms in the room. You had to share the bathroom right at the end of the hall, but there was a place to eat downstairs, like a little motel dining room. So we checked in and got rooms and took a bath and got cleaned up, and you know, we put on some semi-clean clothes, and then we went down to eat, and we're down there eating, and pretty soon a little guy comes in, another little short little fucker, smaller than Danny DeVito, comes in, and he comes in, he flips the chair around, he sits down, and he's got his hands, and he's looking at us. He goes, I'm going to need all of your passports. He goes, what are you doing in Tinga Maria? I said, first off, who are you? He goes, I am the police chief. He goes, I am also the consulate. I said, wow, you're everything, huh? He goes, I'm everything. I said, great. I said, well, you know, we were hiking in the woods, and here we are. And he goes, with no gear, where is your gear? I said, we lost it to the bandits. He goes, you're lucky you did not lose your life. I said, yeah, we need to rest here for a day or two, and then we're heading back into Lima because we got a plane to catch. He goes, oh, senor, he goes, I'm going to take these with me. He goes, so, you know, don't go anywhere, it's too fast. He goes, I'll be back with them. Out the door he went. My friend goes, are you sure that's police chief? I said, I ain't sure anything, bro, but... And then the waitress come up, I asked her, and she said, oh, see, he's the chief. He'll have to be, yeah. So I said, okay, cool. So let's see. We hung out in the motel the next day, and he showed up in the afternoon, gave us our passports, and they had a 30-day extension stamped on the visa. He goes, I would like it if you stayed in my town for a few days, senor. He goes, it's very nice to have people from out of town. I said, well, sure, we'll hang out for a few days, 30 days. What do you guys got to do? And, well, I got to be back in a couple weeks anyways. I said, well, so, yeah, what are we going to do? So we all had a pocket full of cash. We took 10,000, which was allowable into the country, and hell, we hadn't spent 1,500 apiece, so we had a pocket full of cash still.
Right.
So, you know, because dollars went a long ways back in that area. So it was like, okay, so now we're just hanging around. Then I'm walking by a place that says Real Estate Day. Renta, vente. We speak English. I said, oh, cool. Little room, no bigger than the living room in here. I walked in, and the guy goes, can I help you? I said, yeah, do you rent places to Americans for like 30 days or a month? Oh, si, senor. I said, well, what about the best place you got for rent for the three of us for a month? Oh, senor, let me show you what I have. He goes, and he went out. We got in a little Renault, old antique Renault car, and we drove around the blocks a little bit up the hills, and he parked, and it was not what I was looking for. I said, senor, I said, no, you know, mas bueno. I mean, like, ooh, how heavy bueno. And he said, oh, senor. He goes, hi, yeah. We drove out of town a little bit, and there was a gated compound with white stucco. And he opened the gates. He had a key. And we went in, and there was a little two-car garage sitting there, and it had a Jeep, not a Jeep, a British Leyland Land Rover, a small one, not a big one, and it had a moped. And he goes, senor, this comes with the Jeep and the moped. He goes, let me show you the house. The house was gorgeous. It had a big veranda wrap around, and you walked out to get to the bedrooms and the living room and the kitchen. It was just beautiful. I said, how much is this? He goes, senor, it's $200 a month. I said, no problem. I said, it's very nice to meet you. I said, when can we move in? He goes, oh, senor, come, let me show you the rest. When we went in, it was all furnished, of course. The guy's stereo was set up, a little turntable. And, I mean, it was like, you know, I said, he told me it was a professor that was teaching in Lima, and he only rented to Americans. That's the only ones he'd rent to, because they took care of his properties, he said, when they came down. So that was cool that we got the place, right? So now we're in there doing this big, softball size hunk of darkest, brightest, bluish, shiniest Coke I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Peruvian blue. It was fucking just stupid. I mean, it was so clean. It was like you weren't speeding or rushing. It was just like this high right here. No different. I mean,
Huh.
that's all it was this, right? We got right here from that bowl. So it was real enjoyable. Well, I wanted to venture out, so I'm buzzing around town looking at things, and these other two are just sitting there in the veranda snorting cocaine. They wouldn't get up off their ass, so now we're trying to cook in the kitchen, and we're buying Peruvian foods that we don't know anything about or how to cook them, so the food's really horrible. So I went down the next day with the Jeep, and I went to see the police chief, and he'd given us our stuff back and came out to the house to check on us, and he was pretty cool. So I went to see him. I said, look, where can I get, maybe a girl or two to cook and clean? I said, I really got to get somebody out there because we got a mess and we don't know how to cook this fucking stuff y'all got here. And he laughed. He goes, Senor, in the morning, he goes, you know this street down here that goes up the hill? You go up the hill, and as soon as you crest the hill, you turn right and stop. He goes, and on that street in the morning is all the women that are looking for work for the day. And I said, okay. So next morning, I said, fellas, come on. I said, we're going to go down and get a cook so we can eat something today. So we did exactly what he said. We had the Land Cruiser, and we went up the hill. I did, and I stopped and turned right and stopped, and boy, the street was lined with women. Some beautiful girls, right? And one caught my eye. She had a ragged, torn dress, and she was standing there, and I said, look at that one. And when I did that, she come running to the Jeep, opened the back of the door of the Jeep up, moved the tire out of the way, and climbed in the back and sat on the floor. We're all looking at her, and my friend says, pull up, dude. I pulled up, and he goes, look at that one. And he's pointing at this girl, and she comes over to the Jeep, so we all got a girl. That's right. None of them spoke English. We didn't speak very much of their language, so we took them back to the house, and we tried to show them physically what we wanted was food and commit and cleaning and and showed them a room where they could all stay. Or one had to stay by herself, and two could stay in the other room. But that was cool. So I gave them all a room to be in, and they were just like tripping. I mean, it was like tripping. That's how they looked. First night, boy, that kitchen smelled fucking good, bro. The table was set with 3 places, and the food was steaming hot. I went out there. I said, "Tres?" I said, "No, see it." I said, "How come only 3?" And one of them was sitting on the floor with a bowl, just eating the plain rice. Wasn't even eating what they cooked us. I'm going, no. I said, come on. I got them all up and set them at the table, and they were looking at me, and I fed them what we were having, and they woofed it down, bro. I mean, it was like, and then they got up and went out in the kitchen and started cleaning. Well, then they were fussing out there. No, me. And I'm going, huh. And they were talking about us. Just the way they were doing it. So it was pretty funny. Later that night, I sat down, and one of them, her name, no joke, was Maria. She come over and sat down between my legs, and we were watching this beta, whatever it was. It was brand new at the time. It was not the 8-track or what. It was something.
It was not VCR. It was a Betamax.
Yeah, it was old. But it was new then. So, but anyways, we were watching some stupid show on that, and she just sat right there. The other girls kind of selected each one, and we were just having a peaceful evening watching TV. Nobody wanted to snort any coke. We were so excited we had girls' company and a full stomach. It was the first time in a week.
Right.
So it was like, hey. So, anyways, nightfall came, and I said, adios, buenos dias, buenos noches, I said, and I got up, and she followed me, walked in my room, took the covers back, fluffed the bed up. Thank you very much. And I said, okay, bye, adios. The door was open, so I turned around and the door shut, and it was kind of dark in there. I didn't turn anything on. I could see kind of, so I took off my clothes, jumped between the sheets, and I was laying there. And this is pretty fucking nice here. These sheets weren't clean yesterday. I'm going, yeah, buddy, these girls did good. I'm proud of what we found. Next thing I know, something rustled down on the floor. What the fuck? I turned the light on. Here she was curled up on a rug at the foot of the bed. I said, no. I said, no, I got her up. I said, no, you have your own room. And a big tear come down her cheek. I said, you here? And she goes, I said, okay, come on. And she did. She jumped into bed and it was great. So the next morning I got up, went to the kitchen for coffee, and there's the other two, and they said, same thing happened to you last night happened to me? I said, probably. And they said, yeah, cool, huh? I said, yeah, man. So that afternoon I took her down to I asked her a little bit about, she lived in town, right? And I wanted to pay her. And she showed me where she lived and everything. And I said, well, I said, here's 10 $100 American bills for taking care of me this month. She looked at them. She put them together, had me stop by her parents' house, and she ran to the door, and her mother and father came out, and she handed them the money and was pointing at me, and they were just looking at me and things, and she ran back the Jeep, and we took off. And then I took her downtown and got her these really nice jeans and country clothes and a cowgirl hat and old goddamn boots she was smoking. So when I took her back, everybody goes, and we got her hair done too. So it was like, I took her back and everybody goes, dude, where'd you get that done at? I said, in town, man. I said, you guys can do the same thing, little skinflint motherfuckers. So they all piled the Jeep and off they went. So we had pretty girls after that around the house. When we left, I felt really bad, because Maria was really cute. I kind of liked her a lot. She was a lot of fun. So anyways, we came home, and then that's the end of that segment of that story. So I got to go down and hang out with some Indians, had a good time snorting blue cocaine. Just had a good old time, bro. And we came back to Miami, and everything was just like it is in Miami, so it was like a really good time.
Did you ever fly to Peru and get any?
Not at that time, no. I just kind of blew it off, but then I figured I'd go down and do what any normal person looking for. I wanted to bypass all the bullshit. I wanted to get it direct out of the labs. You understand? I didn't want to go through Jose, Pepe, Herrera, and the rest of them. I wanted to go straight to the guy at the lab. So I went to Iquitos, Peru. This is where Iquitos comes in, and I leased an airplane for the day without pilot, and I started flying up these rivers and tributaries leading out of town. And every spot that I saw smoke coming out beside the river, I charted it. Didn't have GPS back then, but you had tri-coordinates.
Right, sure.
I figured it out where it was at, and every little spot of smoke on the river I charted, because I knew it took smoke from a campsite to make coca, and they did it along the rivers for the transportation of it. So, okay, so now...
Did they wash it with water too?
Yeah,
I don't know how it's made, so...
No, they mostly chemicals, but water is in the process somewheres, but just, not as much as you'd think. It's
okay.
Acetone or ether or things like that.
Okay.
So it's barrels of chemicals. So, anyways, I did that for a day. Found 4 hits that looked likely. I said, okay. So the next day I went down to the river's edge and wanted to rent a boat without anybody. That was impossible. I had to buy the boat, and he'd buy it back when I returned it. Another one of those scenarios.
Sure, the donkey, yeah.
Go ahead, you stupid gringo. Take my boat, but you're paying me for the motherfucker because you are not coming back. That's the way that worked out. So anyways, I went upstream, got close to the coordinates, pulled into this little under tree, and when I did, I bumped into another boat that was already parked there. I said, uh-oh. So I just kind of got out, looked around, didn't see anybody. I took maybe 40 steps down the path, and that was it. I had 3 boys on me without a choice, so I went with them, and we went to right past these makeshift buildings, just drying racks full of cocaine. I'm talking these buildings were 45, 50 foot long and wide enough to have an 8-foot table in it that they'd rake around the big cocaine and dry it out. That's how they were drying it. So it was like, wow, wait, oh, damn, I found my dream. And I walked in this little hut, and this guy stood up, and he punched me right in the stomach. He goes, gringo. I said, fuck, yeah. I said, goddamn. That's no way to greet people, man. He goes, "You're a local fucking nut. It's crazy." He goes, "Why are you here?" He goes, "Why did you ruin my day?" I said, "I haven't." I said, "I got a deal." "Oh, no." He goes, "A deal." I said, "Well, I'm going to talk to you about this." I said, "I want to buy a plane load of cocaine right now. I got the money with me." I said, "I want to buy a plane load of cocaine to take home." He said, "Senor, you have the cash?" I said, "Yeah, I got the cash." I said, I got the cash. So, and I didn't tell you how I got there. I actually flew there in my own aircraft. Then I leased a plane that had local markings on it instead of being a fucking American registered aircraft flying all around the countryside. So, that's why I'd leased the craft. So I already had one on the ground, and I had money in the walls of the plane, and it had already been cleared through customs. It was fine sitting there, and I'm on a vacation. No big deal. I had all paperwork, all the flight plans that were filed, showed them I had done a legal flight into their country, and I'm planning a legal flight back. So everything was fine with my plane parked there at Aquitas. Well, this guy, he goes, "Sit down." He goes, "How much fucking money do you think you have?" I said, "Well, how much fucking cocaine do you think you have?" "Enough to fill 10 plane loads." I said, "I only want one." I said, "So, how much are you getting for it out here? Me buying it like this right here." And it was just stupid, bro. All these middlemen, all these dealers, all the people that you have to step through to get it when you went right to the lab, it was like, what the fuck? You're going to sell me kilos for $2,000. Sold. I mean, it was that simple. Sold. He goes, "Well, I'm not going to transport them." He goes, "You will have to get them from here to however." Well, I had a boat. I figured I could load up the boat, and if I had to do a couple loads, but the boat was big enough, I figured to put enough weight in that plane to what I had to have. So I said, "Why don't we start out with I don't know, say 300 kilos. He looked at me, he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Where do you want to start?" And we were outside walking around the drying racks and underneath the shade tree, and he goes, "You pick what you want." He goes, I said, "Really?" So we're walking down the rack, and I found a little stick, and I said, "I'll take from here," I said, "to here," because there was different batches of the coke, and I was looking at it to see what was the best. So I was just sorting it out, and they had a big meat scale and a big fucking baker's bucket on it, and they just started shoveling it in there. I said, "What do we got now?" You got 35 kilos. Oh, fuck. Okay, so we're scooping away. These guys are helping me scoop, and that's how it went. And then we packaged it up as good as they packaged it out there. And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll be back tomorrow." I said, I'll bring the money." I said, he goes, "I'm coming with you." I said, "You're welcome to, man." And he did. He came right with me, and we went out the airplane. I felt safe with him after I'd spoke to him. He was straight up. He was just somebody trying to make $1 from a gringo that showed up from heaven with money in a plane to him,
Yeah.
So we got to the plane. I took the side panel off. I gave him the money. He put it in his fucking pants pockets. It was all bulging out. He had cargo pants on. He had money in every pocket. And all of a sudden, military police showed up. 2 Jeeps. And they get out, and they start talking to him. And he's going, "No, you can look on the plane." So they went and looked on the plane, and the next thing I know, he was over there talking to like the captain or whoever was in charge of the 2 Jeep loads, and he was passing him a stack of money, like a good wad, right? And he passed it to him, and they got a salute, and the guy saluted, and they got in the Jeeps and all left. He goes, "Tomorrow when you leave, you have no problems." He goes, "But I need more money." Well, I said, "Okay." So I went back to the plane, took the panel off, gave him what he had given them, and off we went. And I got a bigger boat because he helped me rent a bigger boat. I got returned the little boat and got my money back, and then he helped me because he knew somebody at the docks, and got me a bigger boat. Well, then he also helped me get this boy with a donkey cart where we could put it on the donkey cart and take it over to the airplane and put it on the plane. I said, "Thanks for your help." He goes, "She couldn't do it any other way." He goes, "So come on." And we went up, loaded the boat, came back. I came back by myself. The kid was there with the cart. We loaded it all up. People standing there watching what we were doing. It wasn't any big thing. They were busy. I was busy. Took the cart to the plane, threw it in the back of the plane, stacked it methodically, weight distributed ways, and said goodbye to the kid, got in the plane and left. Yeah. That's exactly how that occurs.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I had a hell of a ride back because I knew these boys in Punta Gorda, Colombia. They had a runway there, and I figured I could stop and refuel, on the way back home, because I'd gone a different route. I'd gone through the Panama way and had enough fuel to get where I was going.
Uh-huh.
This way back, I didn't, so I had to stop somewhere to fuel up. So I figured if I just stopped there in Colombia, I'd be all right. So I zipped in there, and if I hadn't had these 3 little lines on my arm, they would have killed me. But as it was, I paid for fuel to put in the plane, enough to get back to Alabama. And
The 3 lines on your arm.
4 lines, yeah. That's a runway. That represents a Colombian runway.
Oh.
Go figure. Yeah.
So that's the way that they mark you as a pilot?
Or permission to be there, because a lot of the Indians spoke a dialect they didn't understand, so they showed them this and told them they don't have it, and not a question about it. That's exactly what happened to you if you landed at that runway. You were not welcome.
Wow.
And I was so glad that they didn't have that theory in the jungles of Peru.
Wow.
So by chance, I did really good, and then never did that again. Didn't have to. Got pretty crazy after that because the amount of money that I'd made, that was just stupid.
Stupid, right?
And then the people with the pot were stupid. They just wanted tons and tons and tons, and much as I could bring. I mean, at one time, I actually had 7 aircraft and 5 boats running all at the same time. I mean, like, pretty much like FedEx.
Wow.
That was a logistical challenge for my little mind, but back then I wasn't quite so crisp, and I hadn't had a stroke where I forget everything. I'm just saying, I mean, I forget so much. It's like, wow, it's hard to tell anything. I remember things pretty good, but there's other things I can't remember. What the fuck? Just like you, Todd. I wonder where the fuck she's at. Oh, no.
Another story from the world's greatest drug smuggler.
Yeah.